We are back, my friends, with another Core 2 Duo video with a high-end graphics card. And if you remember our last update of when we were actually trying to get this working, we were trying to make some upgrades. We were gonna install 8 gigs of RAM, and we were gonna change the CPU out for a Core 2 Quad. However, this motherboard ended up dying, so I don't wanna damage the floor, but that bothers me even still. Even though it's a dead motherboard, it hurts. Anyways, that motherboard's dead, and we had to upgrade to a different one, but we got this one and it only had 2 RAM slots. But we were having tremendous issues since the update took so long that the 1080 Ti that we originally tested with became obsolete. And then there's the RTX 2080 Ti's that came out. So we were trying to test that out, but if you remember our video about the RTX 20 series dying video, we are having tremendous driver issues with that card and this specific motherboard. No matter what CPU or RAM installation we have, we couldn't get it to work. Other LGA 775 boards working totally fine. This specific one was a major issue, and that kind of ruined us. So that leads us to where we are today. I have more LGA 775 CPUs than I've ever wanted. I have more motherboards than I've ever wanted, and I have more DDR2 RAM than I thought I was going to need running a current tech channel. So we decided if we're gonna overclock, if we're gonna try to have RAM, if we're gonna try to do this Core 2 Duo video properly, why not just get the best of the best? So we found a Asus Maximus formula, one of the original Republic of Gamers motherboards here in South Africa, lightly used, and we picked it up. And so now we have a system that actually works. Core 2 Duo, RTX 2080 Ti, everything set up. And I wanna explain to you guys a little bit about how this video is going to work and our concept moving forward and how it's gonna be slightly different than the last one we did. But first, I need to tell you about today's video sponsor, which is Honey, my friends. My friends, in case you don't know, Honey is a free shopping tool that automatically searches the internet for the best promo codes every time you buy something online. They believe that everyone deserves the lowest prices possible on all the things that you want to buy and you love so dearly, and you can save on over 30,000 websites such as Amazon, eBay, Walmart, Best Buy, Newegg, GameStop, Razer, and more. My friends, if you're looking to do some holiday shopping before the holiday season even hits, be sure to install Honey on your web browser. It is so simple to do, only 2 clicks, and you can do it by going to the link in the video description, joinhoney.com/UFDtech. 2 clicks to install, and then you are one of their 10 million members, saving an average of $28 a month. And don't forget that Honey has over 100,000 5-star reviews. There's literally no reason not to add Honey to your browser today. It's free to use and installs in just 2 clicks. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/UFDtech. That's joinhoney.com/UFDtech. And just like me, even if you're checking out GameStop because you're trying to get your kids Spyro for Christmas, before Christmas even comes, because Spyro comes out before Christmas, and you're checking out GameStop and they don't even have a promo code for Spyro, they do still indeed save you money by giving you 1 to 5% cash back on your purchase just by using the Honey web browser extension. So check it out at the link in the video description. So not only did we go through a bunch of motherboards, we also went through a bunch of RAM, and now I have CPUs out to freaking wazoo. We have a single core Celeron, we have a dual core Pentium right here, and then we also have a Core 2 Quad. So we have a lot of room for potential future videos. We obviously have the MSI Gaming X Trio in here for the 2080 Ti. We have 4 2 gig sticks of DDR2 for a total of 8 gigs. We're still using Windows 10 because I did do some benchmarking between Windows 7 and Windows 10, and I saw no difference between the two because it is so CPU bound. Windows 10 actually isn't taking up all of that many resources. So instead of just running everything at stock like we did with the previous one, because we are clearly in a CPU bottleneck when it comes to Windows 10, we're going to test everything at stock to see if 8 gigs of RAM makes any difference from the 4 gigs that we had previously, because we still have a massive CPU bottleneck. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna overclock this motherboard and CPU and the RAM as far as we can get it going. And one of the benefits of the older generation chips is that to overclock your CPU, you can just overclock the front side bus. You don't necessarily need to mess with the multiplier on the processor. With this Core 2 Duo E6750, the best we can do is we have a narrow window between 6 and 8 on the multiplier. So we're instead just going to keep it at 8 and then set the front side bus to as high as we can possibly get it, and overclock the RAM as well to see if we can get past the limitations that we were having earlier and have this system run as efficiently and effectively as possible. So let me go ahead and start benchmarking with it at stock with 8 gigs of RAM. RAM. We'll test it. I'll come back to you guys. Then I'll talk to you guys about overclocking. We'll see the max overclock, and then we'll test the performance again and wrap up the video. So this was the worst game that we played last time with the 1080 Ti when we only had 4 gigs of RAM. It actually didn't really load in the textures properly, and right now it seems to be doing a better job. Never mind, look at those houses. Is this what console looks like, Reece? Oh no, there's a people. Oh, wow. Oh, sweet turkey. Am I even in this house? What in the, woo! It doesn't look so bad once everything's loaded in, and it doesn't feel like the frame rate's terrible. So this is smoother than last time, but it's still not great. Oh, you can see the textures are just horrific over there. Oh my goodness. What is this? Yeah, don't run into unloaded textures, friends. Oh, deploy my glider. Yes.
Breaking the game.
Oh, this is how you cheat. You have a terrible system. Do you see this, guys? When the textures don't load and you run into it, it derps out so hard. No, this is the best thing. It's replicatable. Okay, load, please. So it's official. The 2080 Ti is a faster graphics card than the 1080 Ti when you have 8 gigs of RAM instead of 4 with the Core 2 Duo. Yeah, so taking a look at the actual improvements that we saw, basically none. Going from 4 to 8, this was the argument that I actually made in that last video, was that we were 100% CPU bottlenecked. So any performance increase that would come from RAM just doesn't really exist. And that's true. So we see in Ashes of the Singularity, we saw one FPS increase. In Fortnite, we saw 3 decrease, but that's also because Fortnite multiplayer, it was a live game. Then we have PUBG running the exact same FPS. We have Rise of the Tomb Raider, 2 FPS faster with 8 gigs of RAM, and then The Witcher 3, 1 FPS faster with 8 gigs of RAM instead of 1 gig. So we have 8 gigs of RAM, we have the system tested 2.66. Obviously this is a high-end motherboard, which means we need to overclock it now and show you just how fast we can potentially get this thing up to. I've done some preliminary testing with this so far. I can pretty much guarantee that we can hit 3 gigahertz. Also, this is Republic of Gamers. Really, really nice. There we go. So we've got the BIOS right here. It's actually very similar to the way current Asus BIOSes are laid out, with Extreme Tweaker at the top and all of the good information. So these RAM sticks are rated for 667 megahertz. I've tested this, they can't really do 1,000. I know that for sure. And also, we've gone through so many dead RAM sticks, this one ticking me off the most, so I snapped it in half because it was just a giant frustration and wasting my time. Dead RAM everywhere with this setup. So let's figure out how to overclock. Manual, that's what I want. Front side bus frequency. So this is what we're gonna change. Let's try 400, see if that boots. So let's keep it there. Oh man, I noticed that any type of instability with the system means that we get a blue screen at startup. And it looks like we're fine. Let's go ahead and run Cinebench just to load it and see if it crashes under some decent load. Let's also pull up CPU-Z just to check the overclocked worked fine. We have an 8 multiplier, that's as high as it goes. It's at 3.2 gigahertz right now. Its stock speed is 2.6. That's a decent overclock, 600 megahertz. Ooh, extraction takes a lot of damage on this CPU. Like, you think you can get by on a 2-core processor, and then things like this happen where it's just the simplest things that you've gotten used to in your life are completely decimating the entire PC. If I wasn't certain that it was gonna run, it probably wouldn't have unzipped the file. Well, that's lovely. That's just spectacular. I never thought that I would actually be trying to get the worst results possible out of old technology. Okay, let's get this puppy a little bit higher. Let's set the ratio to 8 just so it defaults to that. So the issue that we're gonna run into here is not necessarily the CPU. It's gonna be the RAM that we're gonna run into the biggest bottleneck with, because the 667 megahertz RAM can't really be pushed that far. Oh no. Oh no, it bit the dead. Let's try again. Okay, given the instability that we had trying that at first, I'm not sure I want to push it any higher, but 3.4 gigahertz with 850 megahertz on the RAM? Yes, please. Dang, 3.4 gigahertz on a 2.66 gigahertz CPU. That is a 28% overclock on the CPU and a 28% overclock on the RAM. That is a fast boy. So we've got the bus speed at 425 megahertz times the 8 times multiplier. That gives us 3.4 gigahertz. Let's just make sure it's stable. But everything seems to be in line, 1.35 volts on the V-core. And we've got about 50 watts for the CPU. That's not too bad. All right, well, let's cancel this and let's get to actually benchmarking the CPU at overclock, see what we can get out of this Core 2 Duo with the 2080 Ti and prove once and for all that the 2080 Ti just works and it's better than a 1080 Ti on a Core 2 Duo. Also, by the way, we actually dropped new merch yesterday. You can check it out in the link in the video description. It just works. If you wanna rep the fact that your graphics cards just work, your house just works, your car just works, your student debt just works, buy the t-shirt, link in the description. Welcome back. We finally got the results in the overclocking and it was better. So overclocking obviously helping a 28% increase. Unfortunately, didn't result in 28% better performance in all instances. It was more like 15%, but still not too bad. So if we look at Ashes and Singularity, we went from 12 or 13 up to 15. In Fortnite, we went from 59, 56, all the way up to 62, which was pretty decent. PUBG, my goodness, friends, this was actually the one that saw the biggest improvement. We went from 28 FPS to 48 FPS. Then we got Rise of the Tomb Raider going from 42 to 52. That's a 10 FPS increase. That's close to a 25% improvement. And Witcher 3, we went from 20/21 all the way up to 25 with the overclock. And then Time Spy, we increased the graphics score by quite a bit, nearly 2,000 points, more like 1,500, but do the math. And the CPU score went up about 200 points, or about 33%. So there we have it, my friends. When you combine a 2080 Ti with a Core 2 Duo, you have a faster system than a 1080 Ti by fact. It just works. 2080 is higher than 1080 by 1,000. So we had a 1,000% increase. Those aren't the real numbers, but there we go. The best experiment that we could come up with when it comes to testing the 2080 Ti. Obviously, now that I have a whole bunch of more LGA 775 chips, I can test them with the 2080 Ti. Would you like to see the Pentium? It's basically the Core 2 Duo with its cache restricted. Or would you like to see the Celeron, which is only one core? I don't want to do that one. That one sounds terrible to me. I do not want to go down to one core on this. And we can obviously follow up with the Core 2 Quad if you guys are interested with that. What other experiments do you want us to try? Mixing old hardware with new hardware, old hardware with old hardware, we don't care. Just let us know what you guys would find excited down in the comments down below. Let us know. Also, don't forget to check out today's sponsor, Honey. Join honey.com/UFD Tech. Link for that will be in the video description. Honey can save you money basically anywhere on the internet, so be sure to get it installed. Just 2 clicks, easy peasy, breezy, squeezy. That's gonna wrap this video up for me. This has been 3 months in the making since we tried to do a follow-up on this. So thank you guys so much for sticking with me, for all of your suggestions, even though typically it turns out to not be right. It wasn't a RAM problem that we were having. We just had a broken RAM stick when I was trying to install all 4 DIMM slots, but that wasn't necessarily the issue. Motherboard's broken, driver's broken, NVIDIA broken, all of that. But MSI graphics card, working fine. Zotac graphics card, working fine. And that's gonna wrap it up for me. I'm Brett with the UFD Tech channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see your smiling faces again in the next video. Love you too. Gigabytes. So we have 8 gigs of RAM in there, and then we also have an overclockable motherboard that we're what?
The 1080 almost fell over when you were like shaking the...
Wobbling is not almost falling over. It's not gonna fall over.
He's gonna keep on wishing until it falls over now.
Yes.
You win. Stop.
No. I wanna see, can I make it fall over? No. So I don't need to worry. 13 up to 15 touchdown. Show that one, Rikus. I'm trying to unscrew the side panel to show everybody. And then it just... I broke Reece. This is what I did to Reece. This is what he did after I broke the temporary glass panel, or almost did. He just laid down on the ground, cowering. Reece, what do you have to say for yourself?